Hey everybody, what's up? This is Emmitt with the What's Up Solar Podcast. It's here I emphasize the What's Up in the Solar Podcast because people get it twisted. They get it confused and they're like saying, "What up?" And I'm like, "No,
No, no, no.
it is about the what."
Right.
Um, Hold on, I gotta turn my phone off because you get those notifications from the wifey and you have to make sure that you answer her. Anywho, I got my guy. Luis Vasquez, founder of Power Media Partners, a field based operations specializing in solar market entry and execution. His work has taken him across the United States and especially Puerto Rico, where he has supported early stage deployments, worked directly with installers and distributors. Through his experience, he has developed a focus on aligning marketing with real world conditions, helping branding, building trust, improving adoption, and avoiding breakdown during initial install. What's going on, Louis?
Happy to be on the podcast. How are you, Emmett? Thank you for
Hey
the
man,
opportunity, man.
this has been a while. We just this is what I love about LinkedIn. You can find your tribe.
Yes.
And you and I don't know how we connected up. It was probably one of the posts that I did, and you was like, "Word, that's right."
Well, so it's funny. I had a really interesting, a really cool work relationship back when I was at EG4 with Mr. Chad Bodmer. I want to say what's up to Mr. Chad.
Yeah,
It's funny because that's my dude, right? And then
right.
he and I are loosely talking, and he said, "Hey, there's someone that I really want you to meet who's very like-minded, and that kind of reminds me of you a little bit." And I was like, "What? Who?" And then it turns out to be you. So small world, all LinkedIn. So
Chad B. Yeah, he was on the show a couple of months ago because he's repping the commercial line over at Enphase,
that's
and
right.
I saw Chad's a he's a dude. Like he built me a 22 pitch, like 22 pitch shack that I could put all my tools on that I could also train on.
Okay.
So it's a shack where all my tools are, windows and everything. And then I could throw people up and all right, we're doing ladder safety. Tie in. All right, cool. I want you to get up there. I want you to mark out your array and install it. That was one. Then he built me a 47 pitch roof that
Really?
scared people.
Well, he's so tall, I guess it doesn't scare him.
So shout out to you, Chad Bodmer. Uh, that's how we roll. Like I said, you
Right.
find your tribe on LinkedIn when you post and let people know what you do. I got a
Mhm.
question for you. When it comes to companies, when they prepare to enter the new market, what do you think they tend to underestimate? I got my ideas, but I want to hear yours.
I mean, where do I start? I think I think just loosely speaking that it's a copy and paste that whatever worked in the last market is going to work in this new market.
Oh, preach.
So that's kind of it reminds me of I'm getting into like aviation now in my 40s, and it reminds me of those pilots, even though if I don't care how many times you've landed at the same airport, you still need to look at the weather at a local level because it's gonna
That's
affect
a
the way
good
you're gonna, right? And how smooth a landing or lack thereof is gonna be based on whether you listened to the conditions on the ground. And that's the best way I could equate it.
That's a good analogy. I've seen this over and over and over again. And that's one of the reasons I decided to just go off on my own and do what I do, is
Mm,
because I see that people sometimes are too close to their thing to understand what they need to do. And I'm standing back. I'm like, that's the issue right there. Let me help you
right.
with that. They're like, what? I'm like, it's right in front of you. They're like, but they're so close to it, they can't see it. I understand that. Wait, let's go back to EG4 because that's another one of our ties. So what were you doing at EG4?
Man, what wasn't I doing at EG4?
Well, uh,
So it was a blessing. Shout out to James Showalter and the rest of those folks there. I think doing an excellent job. I mean, talk about resilience and being able to pivot with the market. I mean, those guys are on it. So,
Ooh, man, they're doing some fabulous stuff.
and the best is yet to come, it turns out. So I'm excited to see, right, what they have, coming up. But I came in there at a very special time. The place was just exploding in growth, and it was all over the place. Everybody wanted a piece of the EG4 gear, and with that type of growth comes challenges. You're doing things that you normally wouldn't do. So I started out just repping the media department and marketing, built out their studios, helped put the podcast series together, which was first called Grid Gone Wild, and now
Yeah.
it's changed names, and that's
Throwback to the 90s.
right, right. But like seven episodes in, that changed. And I was staying in because I live far enough where I couldn't travel there every day. So I was living in these like mobile homes that they had on site.
Oh,
And Chad was being flown in from the Carolinas, and that's where I
wow.
met him. So we were able to spend a lot of time together. And the cool thing is you have people from all parts of the organization staying in those units, or after work, no one had family there. We'd kick
Just
back
hung
and kind
out.
of talk shop. And it was
Yeah.
so cool because I was able to see people from R&D, from other areas where I normally would not have access to those folks. And so that was kind of my story with them. And then as the sales crew started going out into local markets, I was tasked with being able to document what that process was like and come back to headquarters and kind of give them updates
Yeah,
from that trip.
yeah, they are a unique company in the fact that they have at least two demographics of customers, where most commercial PV has really, no, they have like possibly three, where most commercial installers have two, which is I see their challenge, and I'm there to help them. Uh, so you're into media. So we were talking like a while ago about cameras and this, that, and the other. What got you into that?
I think the power of storytelling. I think I'm just an inquisitive person without a camera. And I was just, I've been fortunate to run into really interesting people. And I think the camera was just an accessory that was long overdue. And people just had interest in the situations I put myself in. And so now don't leave home without it, right?
Yeah.
And
And
that's just kind of
no,
part
and
of
it's
storytelling.
pretty cool because you have this thing here. These things have come a long way. All I need is that and a clip-on mic, and it's amazing what can be done.
Boom. I agree. And that's one of the first things that we try to tell installers, to not forget the power of storytelling that they have by just having their phone, right?
Yeah.
And how manufacturers and everybody in the ecosystem can leverage that. I think everybody has a story to tell.
I think you're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons I do the podcast. In the way I do it, I want to talk to the tribe and people outside the tribe and get their perspective on it. During this time that you're doing the storytelling, you got your camera out. What have you seen happening during the first installs in like new markets that most teams just they're like, oh, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah, well, so kind of going back to where we started, that type of attitude of what worked last time must work this time around. I'm not sure if it's corporate arrogance or just I'm not sure what it is, but you have to meet people where they're at. And the biggest aha is that not everybody's in the same place. So we would show up for initial installs. You fly an entourage of people to make sure that the local installer, right, felt that they were supported. You had, techs come out many times. I flew out with Chad myself. And then the other side, the receiving side, they weren't up to par. Something was
Yeah.
missing. Here we go with the Home Depot runs last minute, which are notorious, right? Which I did many myself.
The
And
balance of system.
and you realize that that not every market is the same and not every installer organization is the same, and just having that flexibility of understanding where they're at and meeting them where they're at in order to have a successful first install.
Okay. You've you've installed in some areas where it's a challenge, where the grid may not be as stable, the infrastructure may not be as stable uh, across America and even into Puerto Rico. And you've spent some time there during early rollouts. What stood out to you from that experience with Puerto Rico? And I think it's important that we focus on Puerto Rico because I'm going to say this. Not many people know Puerto Rico is an American territory.
Well, yeah. I think the Super Bowl performance kind of helped move that along.
Yeah,
Yeah. U.S. territory, and I think, Matt, not only because I'm from there, but I think it's so special because it's a great place if you're looking to enter Latin America
yeah.
and you want to be able to do it. You want to do it in a cost effective way. Try your luck in Puerto Rico because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere,
It's
right?
like New York, huh?
Oh yeah, right.
Puerto
New
Rico is, I mean, New York is kind of Puerto Rico.
But when you're there, and I'd ride with the installers all day, right? So that I'm talking to them before the camera even gets turned on, and you realize that it all comes down to them. They're your last level of defense, and how little thought, and this I say like broadly, not specific to any one company, how little thought gets put to the experience of the installer
Oh, yeah.
at especially the first couple of installs, right? And the psychology that's happening. You got someone who probably has their favorite brands, and now they've taken a chance and put their rep behind trying out your product. And it's kind of like, when a dog shows his belly, it's when it's most vulnerable, right? And how as an industry do we want to encourage that and show up for the installer? And I think it was a lack thereof. But to better answer the question, I just saw that opportunity continue to pop up, where
Mm.
it's something that happens all the time. But if we spin it on its head and we think about how do we show up in a meaningful, sustainable way, we're gonna win these people every time they touch a product.
Yeah. So you've seen a lot of installs, and when you're documenting this process visually, it takes a lot of planning because
Mhm.
for one, you kind of know what's going to happen, but those aren't necessarily the things you need to document. You need to document things that you didn't anticipate happening. What are some of the things that you like, oh, from your perspective, to share with that storytelling that you've encountered that said, oh, I didn't anticipate that myself.
Well, so what I try to do whenever there's a rollout, and I remember there was a series of inverters that were coming to the island for the first time with all the uncertainty that just installing in Puerto Rico, you know, includes for free. I'd literally fly down with that gear. I'd meet it at the dock. I'd get it out myself, and then we handpick who we allow to play with it first. And so you leave the camera running, and to me, the biggest aha is just how resilient installers are.
Yeah.
When they run out of runway, they'll find another way to work around it. you know, and
Yeah.
I'm not the most technical guy, and I'm going for my NATSUP certification. I'm studying for it now. But it's just like when I'm like, nah, that this install is not going to happen, and it happens,
Yeah.
and they
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
like how the and how they lean on each other and how this person knows the other person and they'll call someone else and phone a friend, and before you know it, it gets done somehow, some way. That has been the biggest takeaway, personally, just learning that no matter what shows up, they'll do their very darn best to get it done.
So you've given us an instance of like where boots on the ground, where they have a can do, we're going to make this happen. Where do you see the biggest disconnect between planned at a high level and what actually happens with those people with those boots on the ground? Because you keep indicating that there's some sort of a disconnect, particularly regionally, because people think it's one size, this one shoe fits everybody on the team.
Right. I mean, it's multi-layered. I think at the very top, some folks are very hands off, so they make a great product, great stats, great pricing, really low price, and then they'll just toss it over the fence for the distributor and those folks downstream to kind of take care of the rest, right? And then it's very hands off. So that's one. And then two, I think that, you need to have a systematic rollout. There's things that should be in place before anybody touches the product. So let's start with the basics. Do you have an instruction manual in the language of the market you're entering, right?
Yeah.
Is there a clear number where people know to call whenever there's an issue? Is someone going to pick up, right? Um, and
Oh,
and
that's a big one.
and I think the first going back to the installer showing his belly and being vulnerable, that's when we need to show up. So, are you making talk to me about your intentional effort for a seamless first install experience?
Right.
Because that's really where we should be aiming, right? Where you create a wow moment, and it may not always go right, but that the installer, he or she, feels that you've got their back and you're there for them and they know where to reach you.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent, and I've been on this pedestal as of about a year and a half, 2 years, that we need to get back to hands-on training, showing up, showing out, whether it's in the field or saying, "Hey, you're going to install our product. Um, we have this great lab that you can come and experience the product in." So that people are very prepared when they go out there. So it's almost a no-brainer deal. And I think it's starting to take hold because 2020 left us in a dizzy. We were like, how are we going to get this done? Oh, we'll do it online. But then that became the norm. And we got to get away from that again. We got to get away from that.
I totally agree. I think, it's funny. One of my mentors would always say about solar installers, if if they're not on the sunny side of the roof, they're not working.
That's Solar has some good analogies, man.
So, man, and especially when you travel in the US, there's a lot of rural America, right? Where that
Oh, yeah.
local installer, that is your lifeline. If something were to go wrong, that person is the one that's going to resolve that problem, right? And I think the industry would be much better served if they understood what the life of the installer is like, right? How these are the folks that are making it happen day in or day out. And I think the closer our headquarters can get to that and understand that, the better off we're all going to be.
And it's not a comfortable life either. So you have about, and I think I was talking with someone else about this. Will White from Fluke. I was like, if you're an installer, if you start at 18, you got about good 10 years before knees, shoulders, hips, ankles start to show their toll on it. So it's better to understand the whole industry so that you can pivot outside of that. And the other thing, when I see new people coming into the industry, they're like, Emmitt, how do I get in? I'm like, learn first. They're like, okay. I'm like, if you're in a market where it's permeated with solar, just start a service company.
Mhm.
Just go fix people's stuff because people go out of business. People don't like who installed their stuff. There's room for everybody. But that's just me spouting off at the mouth. So let's look at this. If a company wanted to approach a new market more effectively, what should they focus on very early?
I think getting a lay of the land, right? I use this, so I have this series online. My website is called Operator Notes, and I talk about this as well, where pricing is the tell, right? And let me give you an example. When you come into a market, you're the new kid on the block.
Mm.
I don't care what you say. And so it's very important that you show up, but you understand your place in that ecosystem. And sometimes that doesn't happen, and it creates disruption for the brand and not in a good way. So I think one of the first things a brand should understand is what needs are they able to solve in the local market that your competitor is not?
Hmm.
And that's not always technical, right? It could be you have a suite of products that's more broad and more put together. Um, I mean, it could be all sorts of things, but I think it's just being able to look at where they fit in the market and to act accordingly. I don't care how much money you got for advertising budget, it doesn't matter. You're the new kid on the block.
Yeah, especially I don't understand this. We got this cool medium and called YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. And then there's other platforms. There's WeChat in Asia, and there's all kinds of other stuff. We live in an attention economy. If you can't show me what you got or spotlight what you got, you lose a lot of out of the momentum. And I'm just don't understand. I especially think because people are younger than me that they would be up on this. And I'm like, this is the medium. You got a camera, you got a microphone that's built into the camera, but you can get other stuff and just show what you're doing, show how your products perform, show the happiness that people have, show the success.
Oh yeah. It's funny. I know of companies in Puerto Rico who are selling solar products, yet they don't have one install on their website or on social,
Right.
right? Or just to go back now that I think about it, how do you show up to and there's basic building blocks that I think any company in our industry should have. You should definitely have the open box videos, right? You should have a basic set of technical videos that are a minute long, right? That at least is the first line of defense. If someone gets stuck somewhere, they have a question, they'll go to those resources that are easily available to them.
Yeah.
And if they can't figure it out, hey, have them call you, but at least empower them to be able to problem solve and kind of get to know your product.
Yeah, open boxing is such a big, I mean, there's people buy a new hard drive and they'll just show them, hey, I got this new hard drive, pulling the plastic off. That drive sales. People are
Yep.
like, oh, that was an easy experience. That was an easy customer experience. I think I'll invest in that. It's it's so simple. It's so simple. So where can people find out more about what you're doing? Your website, your
Yeah.
LinkedIn, everything
I
else.
I can be reached at Power Media Partners. And on LinkedIn, of course, under luisvasquezperilla.com. And pretty much this is my bread and butter. What I try to do is create sense of crazy markets and avoid costly, ineffective rollouts, right? That's what I do every day, and just always honoring the installer. I think we need to, bring that person back to the forefront, and that the industry is able to really, really support what they do. Because without them, we don't have an industry.
Yeah, you're
Period.
right. So do you are you supposed to work with marketing teams with companies? Is that
I
or
Yeah,
training teams?
no, I work with marketing because a lot of folks sometimes, especially manufacturers out of China, they'll hire local marketing teams, and I work alongside them. And I also work directly for manufacturers. I go to territories before there's even a campaign put together,
Mhm.
just to give visibility. And then we bring that data back to the marketing teams to formulate a plan that's cost effective, precise, and on point,
Got you.
right? And that's how we roll. Yeah.
So there's the mission statement. Hey man, I want to thank you so much for being on the WhatsApp Solar podcast. I really appreciate you.
I mean, thank you for your time. I appreciate you as well. And yeah, let's make 2026 pop for sure.
So everybody, check this out. See that window here? If you're looking at the screen and you see how it's getting brighter outside of there, and if you look way up and right now to the south, east sky, you'll see this big glowing. It used to be yellow, but it's getting kind of white to me lately. Maybe it's my eyes getting old, but it tracks across the sky. It tells us when the seasons are coming. It tells us when we start putting on shorts and when we want to have fun and have cookouts. And oh, it tells us when to go to bed. And it does all this cool stuff basically for free, because one thing that sun will never do is send you a bill. Till next time, love you all. Peace.